Hello there. So today I'm going to tell you a story. Like all the best stories, it's a true story. And it's the story of the woman whose face was covered in broken glass. So once upon a time there was a woman, and she worked in a college, and she had left the college that evening. But when she was on her way back home, she realised she'd actually forgotten some important papers. So she went back to the college and was recovering her papers at the exact moment when a bomb exploded. The consequence for her is that she suddenly found her body being rained on by broken glass. Obviously, because it was an explosion, the authorities were alerted immediately. Paramedics turned up and she was taken to hospital. And now begins the first of the miraculous elements in this story, because it so happened that the day that this occurred, the hospital had taken delivery of a new special piece of technology designed for removing broken glass, particularly from a person's eyes, which you can imagine must be one of the most difficult things there is to do medically. And so this woman spent a considerable period of time in the hospital because her injuries were so severe. In fact, she was in the hospital for so long that we're talking about months. Now, during this time, she was for part of the time in a coma. Part of that time was actually a coma which had been deliberately induced by the medical practitioners. They do that when a person is so severely injured that they need the healing to be taking place without any interference from the rational mind or the waking state. So this indeed is her story. And so at this point, we leave behind the 3D reality and we go into the shamanic realms. Because of course, when someone has something as profound as this happening to them, you can imagine that they are involved. And so during the months that she was effectively in a coma and not able to be communicated with by 3D people, she was in constant communication with her guides and her helpers and other beings from the in-between worlds. And a whole bunch of stuff was explained to her, which is not something that generally happens to us. And so I'm going to take a little bit of time to explain. So she got to be taken to the point before she was incarnated, so before she was born. And what happens, this happens to people, this is a normal thing. So what happens is she got to meet the souls of the beings that she was going to have major encounters with in the coming lifetime. This is the one where she's had the bomb explosion. And so what she does is she gets to meet the human being who plants the bomb. But she doesn't meet him as a human being because they're experiencing each other as souls. And what happens is it has a conversation, and the conversation goes like this. So the one that's going to plant the bomb is a man, she's a woman. She says to the man, "I'm having such terrible problems with my incarnations as a human being. Every time I come down to this planet Earth and start living as a human being, I have a really clear intention of what my soul's purpose is, and do you know what happens? Every single time I get taken over by distractions, and I don't ever get to even start my mission. Please help me." And so they hammer out a deal, and the deal is that on the appointed day and time, he will indeed plant a bomb in that building. And indeed it was that she was the only human being in the building, because it was at a time when it's normally unoccupied. So I now return you back to the woman lying in the hospital bed. So eventually the coma resolves itself and she returns to consciousness, With great care and expertise, all of the broken glass has been taken out of her face, her body, and most especially her eyes. She's not actually lost the vision in either eye, which is truly miraculous. And she has this sense of purpose, this sense of, I'm here to do something. I remember what it is. When the physical rehabilitation takes time, as you can imagine it would do, and some more months take place, because when you've spent many months lying comatose in the coma, it means that your body's got to be taught how to do everything, how to sit, how to stand, how to move, how to walk. She had to learn all of these things for herself. And that's what she did, but she was doing all this with this driving sense of purpose. And indeed, when she was actually capable of leaving the hospital and starting to act as an independent human being, the very first thing she did is she actually created a charity. And the charity was for people who have experienced horrific injuries, like being blown up in an explosion, and to help such people. And it is a successful charity known worldwide, and the point is, she would never have gone on her wonderful soul's purpose were it not for the fact that what seemed like the worst possible thing actually happened to her. She almost died, but she didn't. So that was a near-death experience. And that's got relevance for the whole of the human race at the moment. And in my interview with Jimmy on the Jimmy O Show, I'll be making a little bit of reference to this, and we're going to go deeper and find about how does this affect all of us today? What lessons can we learn? That's what we're going to be looking at tomorrow. Okay, all the love to you.